Hello and welcome to the Dream Depository podcast. I'm Kelly Proudfoot and I have Varun with me, the guardian of the dream world.
Greetings and salutations, my fine feathered friend.
Well, I'm not feathered, but hello.
You are no fun at all. I don't know why I bother.
Neither do I, but let's see what dreams we have to decipher.
All right, straight to work. Which one shall we choose? This one from someone called Quest. They ask, why did I have a dream of sneaking into a neighbor's house and stealing an envelope full of money, and after I stole the money, I returned it back to my neighbors because it didn't feel right. I felt guilty. Why was I stealing in a dream?
Taken matter of fact, there might be a desire for gaining more, whether money or otherwise. It could be a wish fulfillment dream that went south. The good thing is they did the right thing and returned the money.
I wonder if they envy their neighbor while admiring them at the same time.
That is possible. When we break down the symbols and themes, we get the following. Neighbor. Someone close, but not as close as friends or family. House, mansion of the soul, security, stability, shelter, safety. Envelope, messages, hidden things, important news. Money, prosperity, ability, power, sustenance, security, solutions. Stealing, feeling unworthy, undeserving, grasping after material things. Guilt, accepting the blame while understanding both sides, and shame. And lastly, making amends, good over evil, solutions, outcomes, righteousness.
Interesting. So if I follow a thread, security is one of the themes and they might be feeling like they're missing out.
It's all about gaining and maintaining the status quo and ensuring that they have everything they need.
And want.
Right, and they might have limited resources, feel unsupported, or they might be worrying about an unstable job or home life.
Yet they know that stealing is wrong. Let's look at the next dream by Giant Hillel. They ask, what is the meaning of the dream of fast-moving clouds?
The first thing that popped into my mind was that clouds can represent thoughts. Since they were moving fast, it could indicate overthinking or feeling overwhelmed.
Maybe they feel like time is passing by and they feel stagnant or rooted to the spot.
Yes, or maybe they feel lost in a fast-paced world.
They might be procrastinating and dragging their feet on a project or something that needs to be done.
I'd like to know if they were moving away or towards the dreamer.
Why, pray tell?
Well, if they were moving away, it could mean the future, but if they were moving towards the dreamer, it could represent the past.
Or the present. So if they were moving towards the future, the dreamer needs to take heed and plan. If they were flowing backwards, the dreamer needs to revisit the past in order to learn what they need to do now and how to prepare.
That's one of several possibilities, and without knowing more, I think the dreamer needs to at least take stock of where they are and focus on building for the future.
I concur. Moving on. Laurie asks, I had a dream I was floating in space and intuitively knew there was no up or down. It was a very odd, vivid sensation. I was in a spacesuit. What does this mean?
There are several possible meanings depending on which way you want to look at it. To be floating without your feet on the ground could indicate feeling disconnected, and since the dreamer was in space, they could mean that they're even further from the ground or totally cut off, even lost. Knowing that there was no up or down could symbolize that there's either no way out or feeling disassociated from their life or the people around them.
It might also represent being cut off from reality or deliberately withdrawing from the world.
Yes, I'm interested also in Laurie being in a spacesuit, which could mean a further layer of shutting herself off. It might mean at least that she's insulated and possibly protected, but then we don't know her or her circumstances, so it's hard to say.
It's always hard to say without further details, but I'm also wondering if she feels shut out or neglected.
That's possible. It could symbolise feeling stuck in a difficult situation with no way out, or not being able to effect change in her life, suspended without a firm footing.
All right. Without further ado, let us move on. Tavon asks, what does it mean to suddenly see myself in a pink jacket in a classroom?
This would depend on the dreamer and how they view the colour pink. If leaning towards super straight or overly macho, they might feel that pink is too feminine, so being in a public place, especially a classroom, wearing pink could indicate a fear of being considered effeminate. It could even go as far as hidden homosexual desires or those that the dreamer deems unacceptable and is afraid that they will be discovered by others.
Alternatively, it could mean that the dreamer needs to use the powers of their feminine side.
Right, and possibly issues with the mother or female family and friends, or at least a female in their everyday life. Jackets are usually a kind of status symbol or personal statement, whether it's about style and fashion or aspects of the personality. The classic theme of either being embarrassed or discovered is represented in school and classroom dreams.
It could indicate a change in focus or career, maybe creative opportunities.
That's possible, but only Trayvon knows how he feels about what the dream was trying to tell him.
Isn't that always the case?
Yes, but we can still discuss the themes, symbols and interpretations to help others understand the methods of dream analysis.
Quite. What is next? Oh, Sandy asks, I had a dream about my ex. He called me and I asked him why he called and he said 0 and hung up. What does that mean?
Well, if he actually said 0, it could indicate how she has no feelings for him anymore, or maybe she fears that he doesn't have feelings for her anymore. Maybe the dreamer feels that he was a 0 in life, which is why he's her ex, or it's possible that the ex was abusive and said 0 to pique her interest. In most cases, dreaming of the opposite sex or the focus of our desires can indicate how we interact with those closest to us, rather than expose our loved ones' inner feelings and intentions.
There's a saying that is used in the Americas. It tweren't nuttin'.
Okay, is that related to the fact that the ex said 0? Maybe to do with the relationship being worthless?
Why not?
Sometimes you're so silly, Varun.
Well, I think her subconscious is telling her that there is nothing left in that relationship.
That could be true. What's next?
This could be what is known as a great dream. Lolnonymous advises. I had a dream where I lead 10 people through a disaster in the time-space where there was a curvature and we walked through vortexes and portals and I lost everyone. I led all 10 people. What could this mean?
The fact that there was a disaster in a curved time-space might symbolize the dreamer's thoughts or mental state. If that's the case, it could be possible that there's been a shift in consciousness, a mental breakdown, or even a spiritual crisis, but it's a stretch. Leading others through vortexes and portals might not necessarily mean that the people were separate to the dreamer and might symbolize certain aspects of their own psyche, but the theme seems to be about being responsible for others and feeling that they have lost control or let others down.
It could represent high-minded ideas that do not work.
Yes, or feelings like others are keeping their distance. If related to a business or livelihood, it might symbolise frustration over people not being on the same page and losing control. possibly even feeling unsupported in a crisis.
Or being blamed for a crisis.
That could be true.
All right, now let us decipher the following dream. Isabel asks, what does it mean if I dream of myself going to see my future self, but I find out that I'm dead in the future? This could be a tricky one.
If it's diagnostic, the dream could be trying to alert the dreamer about future events if change is not implemented, whether with food, lifestyle, or other aspects of her life. It could also indicate a new self needing to be created, since the dreamer saw her dead self in the future. Death isn't always about actual death, although a death of the self can be indicated.
Don't all you Alethians have cycles, like 7-year cycles of life?
Right, so that future self might have only been a possible outcome. Like I said, it might be a warning, but it might also show Isabel that change is possible and not to be afraid of it. If we project into the future, all of us will be dead at some stage, so it would be normal, although unsettling, to see ourselves in that state. Taking a good look at her life and what's going on will shed a light on what she might need to change.
Very good. Now, Harry Curtin asks, what does it mean if one's deceased husband is asking one for food in a dream? Looks like we're in a pocket of death at the moment.
Pocket of death? That's a bit dramatic.
Well, it's a dramatic dream.
At least interesting, that's for sure. It could symbolise guilt, whether misplaced or not. Otherwise, it might indicate that there were things left unsaid or that there was an issue with being starved for love. Asking for food is a basic need, and to be asking from beyond the grave could mean that their relationship could have been lacking somewhat, and now the dreamer is having thoughts about what they might have been able to do.
Maybe the dreamer is afraid to be intimate with others, hence the deceased husband still asking for sustenance.
It could be the case, since our dreams are rarely about other people and come from within, affected and informed by the thoughts and impressions that filter through our consciousness.
All right then. Now, this from Meme. Why did I dream about abducting people as they struggled to escape in my real house and putting them in my basement until they rot? It is scaring me how, in the dream, I felt good about it.
A little frightening, apart from the possibility that the dreamer watches too much true crime TV or video games. It could mean that they're either hiding things they feel guilty about or have a desire to kill off any strange thoughts or situations. It could also symbolise secrets, outmoded beliefs, or possibly mental instability gone awry.
In terms of not wanting to be corrected, healed, or told what to do?
Yes, and I feel bad that they were scared about how good it felt. That's related to the power they had over the other people. I wonder if in real life they're dictated to or overpowered by others. In a warped way, this could be a wish fulfillment dream if they have a desire to control things to the bitter end.
Deep. Let us continue with the next one. Alex asks, what do dreams about being able to hear a child's breath mean?
Well, it depends on the person dreaming it. It could be a comforting sound for a parent, but what if it's a fearful or sound that's more like gasping? In general terms, this dream could simply be reminding you of how this could be related to your childhood. If there was a trauma, the release of a breath could indicate that the child is telling you that it's okay to finally breathe.
Interesting. I was also wondering if it could be heralding an opportunity, like a lifelong dream, to let them know to stop for a minute.
Yes, or even the child recognizing possible danger, but I think it could be a good sign as well.
It all depends on the dreamer. Well, the next one is from Neve, who asks, some of my dream was a blur, but I do remember being in a building and it was falling. I wasn't scared, just confused. Why?
On the surface, this dream could be about feelings concerning the security and safety of the dreamer. I'm not sure if it's diagnostic, but if it is, the subconscious might be alerting the dreamer to the possibility that there may either be an accident or a medical emergency on the horizon. This would be if the dream was under the umbrella of the Mansion of the Soul theme.
I agree with the diagnosis theme, but I wonder if it's more about the physical safety of the dreamer.
Right. It could be indicating a breakdown, ending of a relationship, emotional upheavals, or losing a job. This dream is probably hinting at what the dreamer already knows, and the subconscious is refashioning the imagery to try and get across to the dreamer. Changes might need to be made, or at least contingencies to be created in case things backfire in the future.
It could be security in terms of housing. I hope they'll be all right.
Having a good support network helps. Let's move on to the next one.
Here's a tasty one. Alarica asks, what does it mean when I dream about a woman with long black hair, black eyes, and in a floor-length red dress with sequins walking like a zombie towards me?
Tasty?
Sequins and zombies.
Okay then. This is most likely the shadow presenting itself. It's interesting to note the presentation, which sounds a little vampiric, with black eyes, which could mean either all-seeing or the opposite, blinded with darkness, and the red sequin dress. It could be to do with sexuality and desire, but I also wonder if it could be symbolizing someone in the dreamer's life who's overwhelming them.
Walking like a zombie could indicate sexual problems. Dead. Going through the motions.
True. Quite insightful.
Thank you.
I hope that Alarica can meet this entity again to face the shadow and ask what it wants. This is a powerful thing to do and very therapeutic. Accepting your shadow helps you become a fully formed human. You can gain valuable wisdom and insights into your life and yourself.
Very good. Now we move on to Melinda's dream. She asks, why do I keep dreaming about other men that I know? In the dreams we always get romantic with each other, and when I wake up I always feel terrible because I have an amazing boyfriend and I feel like I cheated on him, although I know I didn't.
At first glance, I feel that this dream is almost like a playground for Melinda to explore her sexuality and romantic expression. It's hard to fathom the hows and whys of the subconscious interpretation and expression of imagery and language. It can be maddening when faces are swapped, people are different, and situations don't pan out the way we want them to in dreams, especially when they're about love and sex.
Sex, sex, sex. That's all you Alethians think about.
Seahorses don't have love, sex, and romance in their lives?
Pardon me, but I am more than a mere seahorse.
Alright, let's get back to the dream.
If I'm being serious, I think it might have something to do with exploring her sexuality.
There, that wasn't so hard, was it?
Next dream. Zach advises. In my dream earlier, I was holding hands with someone. We were sitting down, and for some reason I was struggling to stay awake. This is the second time I've had a dream like this. Does anyone know if it means anything? Sounds like a psychic vampire.
Energy vampire, to be precise. It could be symbolizing a person, partner, or otherwise, who drains the energy of the dreamer. Some people have to lie down when they're overwhelmed with emotions, so it could be that the dreamer is finding it difficult dealing with them, like they shut down.
Unless they're narcoleptic.
True, but when they told us about the dream, they should have mentioned that, since it's pertinent. Another way to look at it would be if the other person was an aspect of themselves. Do they feel like others see them as boring, untalented, or emotionally draining?
We prescribe meditation and soul-searching to discover the truth.
As always.
Moving right along, Siv is asking for a friend. What does a dream mean if you dreamt that you threw a computer at the head of a girl in the class and she just hugged me?
Well, I hope the dreamer wouldn't do this in real life, but it seems to indicate that no matter what, the girl will be loyal, although I feel like it's more along the lines of wishful thinking.
I wonder if they really want to get rid of someone, cut them out of their life, but they keep coming back.
That's possible. It might also indicate feelings of rage, whether justified or not.
Yes, throwing a computer seems extreme. What's next? Oh, this is quaint. It is from Ali, who asks, what does it mean when you see yourself learning to tailor in a dream?
It might appear quaint, but the theme of learning is a powerful one. Ali needs to ask what tailoring means to them. As a symbol, it could represent craftsmanship or honing skills to help build a career. It's about creativity and progression.
Also artistry. They might have a burgeoning desire to create fashion or superior works of art.
True. Overall, I think this is a positive dream, where the subconscious is letting them know that the time is ripe to take the next step in their evolution.
Perfect! My goodness, we are barging through these, aren't we?
No problem. Let's hear the next one.
Well, Kolawol asks, how come we dream of being prosperous in our sleep and it does not come to a reality?
I think it's pointless to expect our dreams to tell us our fortunes. Dreams are the images, thoughts, desires and memories dredged up by the subconscious when we sleep, replaying events and possibly hinting at future events and outcomes based on what has gone before and is happening now. If you're more inclined to view the dreams as omens, good, bad and in between, then you might want to take note of everything that was going on around you in the dream. Notice the emotions, the colours, the things other dream characters are doing and saying and so on. There might be a possibility that you missed something important that could help with increasing prosperity.
One of the many wish fulfillment dreams.
I have them all the time, especially about food. What's one of your wish fulfillment dreams, Varun?
That's a secret and it is private.
Oh, well then it must be tasty.
Moving along, Hazing asks, what does it mean to dream about a feather, a full moon, and arrows? Gazing too long at the dream catcher?
Don't be sarcastic. Anyway, we can break the symbols down and decipher them one by one first, then we'll look at them as a whole. Feathers can represent flight, escape, in terms of rising above difficult situations, emotions, etc., or even spirituality. The full moon symbolises an idea that's ready to materialise. The energy levels are at their peak and it's a good time to get the ball rolling on a project or start something new. The full moon can also represent the goddess and feminine energy. Arrows can be considered to symbolise male energy as well as direction, action and the way forward. When you combine all three, it could mean that Hazing is about to harness feminine energy to rise above their problems, as long as they keep their eyes open for opportunities to move forward.
Like a job offer or dream career?
That's always possible. I think it might be leaning more towards spirituality or perhaps hinting at emotional development.
Lovely. Now, Lewis asks, what could my dream about an infestation of cats in my house mean? The cats had silver eyes with no pupils and there were carnies in it. In the dream the carnies had something to do with the cat infestation, like it was an accident. Oh, this looks in depth. I'll leave it to you.
Of course. I like that Lewis included relevant details, which helps us take a deeper dive into what the dream could mean. To start with, infestations can represent thoughts run amok or feeling overwhelmed, and since they were cats, which can symbolise feelings of being threatened or wild emotions, they might be dealing with a situation that is out of their control. The cats having silver eyes with no pupils could indicate mysterious thoughts or a fear of the occult. carnies are people who work at circuses, so they might symbolize people in the dreamer's life that could be transient or even pose a threat. The idea that the carnies might have had something to do with the cat infestation could mean that there are people in Lewis's life who could be dangerous, or at least get them mixed up in something undesirable, whether they mean to or not.
Quite. It could also mean that certain people in the dreamer's life might introduce undesirable elements, or others who could be a bad influence. Let us move on. Sarah asks a simple question. What does the colour burgundy mean in a dream?
Colours are usually different depending on the person who's dreaming it, but other things associated with the colour might be able to shed more light, such as a burgundy heart, burgundy clothes, or burgundy food and decor. Burgundy is the colour of plums, wines, and some grapes, as well as other things, but if the colour itself was the focus, it could either be a diagnostic dream about the blood of the dreamer or menstrual issues. Otherwise, it could mean opulence, power, prosperity, or success.
I am a fan of all colours in the rainbow, but I know that burgundy can be regal or represent heightened spirituality. It always depends on the dreamer.
Right, more details would help, so while we're on the topic, anyone out there who wants their dreams interpreted, please let me know as much as possible about every element so we can gain a deeper understanding. You can email me at kellyproudfoot@gmail.com or ask me on Quora.
Good. Now, as Nita asks, is a horse a good symbol in a dream?
Well, it depends. Like any theme or symbol, horses can represent physical strength, fortitude and power, but they're also impetuous and dangerous if spooked. It also depends on how they appear and what was going on in the dream. I've dreamt of horses many times and they were different each time. One of my dreams started off wonderfully with me riding a beautiful white horse through a perfect field lined with trees, but then we ended up looking over a heavily industrialised city with lots of pollution. To me, the dream was about purity and feeling bad about the dirty city, which might have represented my state of mind at the time. Another dream I had that included a horse was one where there was a little sick and seemingly neglected horse which I took to symbolise my spiritual side. I'm a horse in Chinese astrology with the element of fire. So it felt like I needed to take better care of that side of myself. Riding a horse can mean being on top of a situation and feeling like you're in control, but being chased by a horse could mean feeling out of control, raging thoughts, and so on. The setting and the circumstances can change the meaning substantially.
Very true. What do you think seahorses symbolise? I'm asking for a friend.
Haha. Well, I think that they have the same energies with the added element of water, representing the subconscious and emotions.
Yes, although my little minions mean so much more to me. They could symbolise shifting gender roles and emotional strength.
Right. Also originality and peace.
Good. We sewed that one up nicely. I thought it was going to go awry.
Why?
Never mind. Let's see what's next. Oh, all right. Dorothea asks something that might appear obvious. What does it mean to see your name on a large check, then to see a big fish?
On the surface, it seems obvious that this dream is about business success. Big fish is a common term for leaders in the business world, and a large check indicates a large sum of money, but it could be a wish fulfillment dream, especially if the dreamer is strapped for cash or trying to get a business off the ground.
Oh, I hope it doesn't mean the opposite, especially if she owes money. You know, a check that could have her name on it because she has to pay something to a big fish.
I feel like it's the other way around, but that's possible. From a psychological point of view, the big fish could represent an emotion or trauma that's troubling her, and the check with her name on it could symbolise the price she has to pay for something she either did or a decision she made which is coming back to haunt her. It's important to interpret dreams from all angles until you find the one that seems to ring true.
Correct. Now, let us decipher this one from Sarah, who advises that it was very intense. She asks, what does it mean if I become a white owl in my dream and then see my best friend who has passed away? We both just said each other's name, both in shock to see one another. Then both of us said I love you and the dream was over. It was very intense.
Sometimes dreams can seem to be quite intense, especially if the people or symbols in the dream are important to the dreamer. To start with, a white owl can represent a warning to keep yourself safe or to protect yourself against others who may not have your best interests at heart. They can also symbolise purity or spiritual illumination. Seeing a friend who's passed away could indicate that Sarah has skills similar to her friend and that they're needed at this time in her life. It could also represent a link that has survived death, and maybe, if you believe in life after death, it could be that Sarah's friend is reaching out from beyond the grave to let her know that she's not alone.
Interesting. Maybe it was a visitation since they were both shocked to see each other and then they professed their love. It could be that there were things left unsaid and it was time for what you Alethians call closure.
Yes, it could be. But either way, Sarah should take comfort from this dream and maybe, just to be safe, watch out for others who might be a threat.
Always sound advice. Now, once again, moving on to the next dream, which is from Gia, who asks, what does my dream mean about me having ringworm? In my dream I pulled my top up and I had a massive, scaly ringworm rash all over my stomach. I immediately woke up and felt so itchy.
Sometimes our dreams incorporate what's going on in the real world, so Gia could have been itchy while she was sleeping and then her subconscious represented it with the image of a ringworm.
What is a ringworm, for heaven's sake?
It's a rash caused by fungal infections, which appear as a circular rash that's clear in the centre. The symptoms include itchiness and it spreads through contact with infected animals or people.
So, no worm?
No.
Makes as much sense as a storm in a teacup.
Well, the dream was probably just a reproduction of external events, but if we had to interpret it as it stands, it could mean that something is niggling at her and she needs to address it. In terms of the ring, the circle symbolises completion, wholeness, infinity and totality. Maybe there's something holding Gia back from completing something.
Something physical or medical?
Perhaps. Okay. What's next?
Let us keep our ears pricked for my seahorse babies.
Okay, ears pricked.
Someone called Oray asks, what does it mean when you see an ophanim in your dream? Isn't that related to Ezekiel's dream where he saw the chariot with the magical wheels?
I think so. They were considered to be angels according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the translation can differ, such as spheres or even eyes, considering the second book of Enoch's portrayal of them as the many-eyed ones. The Ophanim were said to be beneath the throne of God in Christianity, alongside the winged cherubim and seraphim, considered to be celestial beings who never sleep since they guard the throne. The wheels were said to be fiery, moving in time with the cherubim, the force of spirit providing the impetus.
Very well, that answers my question, but what about the dream? What does it all mean? Inquiring minds want to know.
Taking a bird's eye view, this dream could be considered what is called a great dream, meaning that the significance is great and probably important to the dreamer, possibly signifying great change and transformation, especially when the wheels of the throne of God is taken into consideration.
Great.
I wonder if a ray has an important opportunity that could work out to be quite beneficial to them. From a religious point of view, they might be having an epiphany that could change their path, or from a spiritual vantage point, they might be experiencing awakenings or insights that could transform their spiritual connections. In any case, something important is begging for attention, and it could be really something for them.
Could it have been a message from the Godhead?
Who knows? Like most dreams, we need to wait and see if we feel we've received a message from a higher source. Okay, let's move on.
Very well. Let us decipher this one from Gabby, who advises. In my dream, I was at a beautiful beach where the sky was very pink, unlike any other I've seen, while on the edge of a ledge, a huge blue whale came out of the water, shooting up. First I was scared, but after became amazed by the sight. Is that good? I know a place with a pink sky. It was where I first met Delwyn of the Realms. Maybe Gabby visited the same beach in one soul.
You don't say. Anyway, you should know, being the guardian of the dream world.
I don't keep tabs, silly woman. But yes, you know all about that because it sprang from your vivid imagination.
Correct, but let's see what it could mean for Gabby. First of all, the pink sky. The firmament might represent the mind or higher intellect, but it can also represent spirituality and our connection with divinity. The fact that it was pink, which is usually a soft colour with feminine aspects, or at least indicating peace, comfort, or childhood emotions, could symbolise a need for self-care.
It seems to be another great dream.
Yes, to be in a beautiful and peaceful place with vibrant colours can mean that the dreamer is either wishing for change or that change is on the horizon. The huge blue whale could represent emotional healing, since it's a creature that dwells in the ocean, which represents the subconscious and emotions. Some say that the whale can symbolise the mother or maternal instincts. It really feels like an emotional healing dream.
What about sperm whales? Do they represent the father or paternal instincts?
Possibly, but Gabby only mentioned a huge blue whale. She also mentioned water shooting up, which I assume is from its blowhole. That could symbolise venting or releasing pent-up emotions.
Well, all around a positive dream with good feelings. Let us see what is next. Oh, Nethme asks, what does this dream mean? I dreamt about my favourite foreign actor visiting my house and talking with me and my family, although he doesn't know my language, but later I realised that he wasn't the actual celebrity but someone who looks exactly like him. Wishful thinking again?
Maybe. Other people in our dreams are either composites of ourselves or other people who are close to us. They might also represent people with ideal qualities, so to dream of a favourite actor visiting your house could mean that you have a desire to make a connection with someone different, especially since he was foreign. The fact that he tried to communicate but didn't know the language could indicate communication problems in the family, but what interests me is that later on it turns out that it's not the actor but someone who looks like him. This could symbolise the idea of realising that people or a person are not what they seem to be, or that the dreamer might be dealing with imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome? Pray tell.
That is a belief that we are not living up to what we assume is the ideal, or feeling like all we've done is unreal or not up to par.
Oh, so doubting one's abilities.
Yes, feeling like a fraud, and this might not be the case for Nethme, although I feel like it's mixed in with disappointment over someone else who may have offered the world and did not deliver.
Or someone who mirrors their own problems.
Perhaps.
Very well. We went down the rabbit hole with that one. Let us make haste. I have that tingly sensation, and you know what that means.
You have a rash?
Oh, how very droll. Besides, I think we can squeeze in a few more. The tingling is faint.
Okay, what's next?
It is short, but maybe not sweet, from Tola, who asks, what does it mean to dream of a road that is going through the house you live in?
First, let's set aside the notion of the mansion of the soul. Roads symbolise our path through life, whether career or otherwise. The fact that it was going through their house could indicate that their true calling lies in the things they learned at home.
Or that they should run their own business.
Yes, it feels like this dream is advising that there's a need to revisit the skills and abilities that are either shared with the family or learned while living there. If the house is not the family home, it could mean that Tola needs to consider the idea that they can work from home, whether in their own business or for another company.
What if the dream is telling them that they will literally need to move out because the owner is selling the home for development, or that they will be asked to sell the home if it is theirs?
That's possible, although not probable, I think. It could represent fears of the world closing in, or that they don't have much privacy with intrusions from other people or even society. I feel that might be closer to it.
Oh, you Alethians with your feelings.
So, you don't have feelings, Varun?
Yes, but I keep them to myself, like Stevie Nicks' visions.
Don't even think about singing. Let's move on.
Very well, party pooper. Let us see. Lynn asks a strange question. What does it mean to dream of riding a huge buffalo to safety?
Maybe not so strange. It'd be interesting to know what she was escaping, but the buffalo could symbolise the struggle for survival, or advising that she has strong support around her and that she should trust in that, or even her own strengths she might not be aware of. Buffaloes can also represent the need for sustenance and striving for prosperity. It could mean that Lynn needs to take care of herself or even face what's chasing her in life as well as the shadow in her dreams.
All right, the tingling is increasing, but my seahorse minions are still a little way off. Let us decipher this one from someone who calls themselves Dark Saiyan. They ask, what is the meaning of having a dream about floating up as the bottoms of my feet get hot?
It seems that this could be about leaning towards holiness or the spirit and away from darkness or trouble. Unless the real world was closing in while they dreamed, such as wearing socks to bed and having hot feet, leading to a wish fulfillment dream that solves the problem by using imagery of floating away, the dreamer might be feeling that it's time to move on from a difficult relationship, stressful job, or annoying people or situations.
Nicely done. I don't mean to rush, but the last one is from someone called Reese's Puffs. They ask, why are all of my dreams either about a natural disaster, a place I know that has been changed, or both, of me being abandoned by my family and constantly switching from third person to first person to out-of-body experience? It sounds like a lot is going on in this person's life.
Yes, it feels that way.
There's no time for jokes, Kelly girl.
I wasn't joking. Anyway, there's a lot to unpack, so let's start with the fact that the dreamer dreams a lot about natural disasters. It could be stress-related in terms of how there's so much going on in the world that they feel overwhelmed. Either that or they have a lot of chaos in their life, whether at home, at work, or in public. They might be dealing with anxiety and a fear of change, which is also symbolised by a known place going through changes. Mixed in with dreams about being abandoned by their family could indicate that they themselves are changing and they don't want their family to find out, especially if it's about their identity, sexual or otherwise. The same goes for switching from third to first person and then leaving their body. Their own safety and identity seem to be prevalent themes, so the dreamer needs to do a lot of soul searching and maybe even seek out analysis to get a grip on their lives and themselves so they can move forward without fear.
Oh, perfect timing. My babies are here to ferry me home to the dream world. I am exhausted even though you did most of the work.
Alright, I release you. Farewell, Varun. Goodbye, little seahorsey babies. And goodbye, listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon, and until next time, pleasant dreams.